Abby and little baby Caleb. He's asleep right now. Or he's trying to. I don't know. But today I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery. Alright, I put Caleb in his little bouncer right down here. And now my labor, I had an appointment October 26th, that Friday. And got checked, everything. I was 2 to 3 centimeters and 80 faced. And she stripped my membranes again. And then she scheduled an induction date, which was going to be October 30th. And I was supposed to go to the hospital at 7 a.m. to start that process. And so me and Blade got really excited because we were like, okay, this is it. We have a date that we're going to meet our son. And it's finally real. Well, I went home and I started cramping a lot. And I started spotting. And then didn't think anything of it because, you know, she stripped my membranes. That's normal. And continued throughout the night, but it wasn't that bad. Like, I could sleep through it. I mean, I'm a girl. It felt like menstrual cramps, like I was on my period. Sorry if that is TMI. And I woke up Saturday, the 27th, and ignored it. Ate breakfast. Blade made a huge breakfast. And we ate. And I started school, and then the cramping was still continuing, but it was in my lower back. And it kept hurting, like it would get worse. And I noticed it was coming and going. And I was like, what if these are contractions? So I pulled out my contraction timer on my Baby Center app and timed them. And they were, I had the screenshot of them, but they were consistent. And it was about noon when I was tracking them. And then they kept getting worse, and then like 45 minutes passed and they were still consistent, still getting worse. Not to where I couldn't handle them, but I felt them. And I called my mom. I asked her if she was going to come home anytime soon, because obviously it was just me and Blade, and I wanted someone that was experienced there, even though Blade was helping tremendously. And sorry, I keep checking on him. So a couple hours passed, and I was still having the contractions. And my mom comes home, and I get in the shower and just let it like run on my back, because it was all in my back. It wasn't in my stomach or anything. And it just felt like my back was separating. I don't know how to explain it. It just hurt really bad. Like I said, I could still handle it. Wasn't major, but it was more than menstrual cramps. And so I think, oh, we're going to the hospital like now, after I get out of the shower. So I get my coat on, I get my shoes on, and my mom's like, you're not going to the hospital for a little bit. I think it was like 2 or 3, because she wanted to make sure it was actual labor, which I'm kind of glad she did, because you'll figure it out. But so we're waiting, and they're getting to the point that I am crying. I'm sitting on the ground, and we have a rocking chair. And I have my arms like this, and my head's like in my arms, and I'm rocking back and forth, like my hips, but also rocking the rocking chair. So I'm going in 2 different directions. And my mom's rubbing my back, and then she shows Blade like what to do, how to rub my back, and he does it. But when I'm having a contraction, I do not want to be touched. So I just push him away, and I just have him talk to me. And I squeeze his hand, and that goes on. And they keep telling me to breathe. It doesn't hurt. It, like, now that I think about at home, it wasn't that bad compared to actual, but, and then Blade, like, when I'm not having contractions, I turn all smiley and laughing, and we're joking around, but then a contraction hits, and I'm like, and I'm squeezing his hand, and I'm still timing them, and they're now, like, they were a minute and 15 seconds apart. I mean, lasting. And then like 3 minutes apart. And 5 o'clock hit, or 4:30. 4:30 to 5, we start putting our bags in the car because obviously they are longer and they are more closer together and strong. So we're putting the bags in the car. Well, they are. And then we're driving to the hospital. And I'm having contractions on the way to the hospital, so I just squeeze my blanket. I brought a blanket with me, but I'm squeezing the blanket in the front seat. Blade's behind me, and I keep looking back at him. And we get to the hospital, check in, get in the room. I was room number 6. And I get checked by the doctor, 2 to 3 centimeters dilated. They put me on the monitors and track his heartbeat, which was healthy, and track my contractions, which are consistent. And they leave me alone for a while because they're tracking my contractions before they can tell if I'm admitted or going home. And the nurse comes in like a couple hours later, probably 2 hours later, and she's like, "You're really having contractions," because they can see what my screen is showing. And Blade and my mom are at the hospital with me. Blade's right beside me, holding my hand, trying to make me laugh, keep telling me to breathe. I don't want to breathe. I want to get these contractions over with. And then they say, well, you can either go home or you can stay overnight, and we'll give you like pills that will help you sleep between contractions. See, I didn't hear the between contractions. I thought it would knock me out and I wouldn't feel the contractions. I was a little disappointed when I kept waking up to contractions. But the pills worked. I stayed at the hospital. And we are watching Halloween movies. And the contractions were getting so much worse to the point I had to sit up. Like, I was laying in bed and I had to like literally jump straight up and rock. And I would scream, like, not really scream, but I'd say, "This hurts, this hurts, this hurts." And I'd squeeze Blade's hand. And he would do like breathing, like how you're supposed to breathe, to me, to have me like do the same as what he's doing. And I'd do it a little bit, but then I'd get annoyed and tell him to shut up. Well, the nurse and doctor, well, midwife, never really came in. They just left me hanging. They thought I was asleep. No. I was like, I would close my eyes and I'd like sway and be asleep. At least what my mom told me I was doing. Like, I was sleeping and swaying, and contraction hit, be noisy. But I'm just so thankful Blade was there for me and helping me through it all and not chickening out and be like, "I can't handle this," and also he would try rubbing my back, and I would hit him. Like, not really hit him, but I'd push him away and tell him to go away. And then the contractions were getting to the point I couldn't handle them. Like, I'd be like, just stay silent through this one. Just breathe it out. Can't. You cannot breathe it out. You will make noise. I don't know how to explain how they feel. It's just still in my lower back, not in my stomach. And I would look at the monitor to where it'd have numbers for each contraction. Like, if it's in the 10s or below, you're not really having a contraction. My contractions felt like the end of the world, but on the monitor they only said 50 or 60. I was like, what the heck? They feel like 100. Probably have a low pain tolerance. I don't know. But it was 11 o'clock, like 11 to 11:20. I just had a contraction and I had to pee. So I got up, didn't really feel different, you know. I waited till after my contraction because I don't want to have a contraction while peeing. That would hurt. And so I go to the bathroom, and I felt a burst. It didn't just break, it burst. this is TMI, I'm sorry, but it went on the floor. And I'm on the toilet, and it went on the floor. But, so I freak out, and I start puking. I puke on the floor. I puke in the toilet. I puke on the floor again. And I'm crying, and I get to the door, I open the door, and like, Blade, call the nurse right now, my water just broke. And my mom and Blade freak out, jump up, call the nurse. Blade tells the nurse that my water broke. Blade wants to come to the bathroom to help me. I don't want him in there because obviously my amniotic fluid's on the floor, my vomit's on the floor. I'm a mess. I don't want him to see that. And so I tell him just not to come in. I wasn't trying to be rude. But the nurse comes in, like literally 2 seconds after Blade calls the nurse. And she gets me in the shower. She rinses me off. And then she puts me back in the bed. She checks me, because obviously it was amniotic fluid. She did the little swab thing. And if it changes black, it's your amniotic fluid. It turned black instantly. But she checks me and she says, "You're 6 centimeters. We're gonna do some blood work. I'm gonna ask you questions and you're gonna get annoyed with me. And you're gonna get the epidural. But first we gotta do the questions and lab work." And I said, "Okay, well, hurry up." I get a contraction. From the last one to this one, it jumped. It skyrocketed. This was to the point I was screaming. Like, literally screaming. I would grab onto the bed. I'd sit straight up. She had to push me down onto the bed. Not literally push, but she had to, like, lay me down because when I'd jump up, it would stop listening to his heartbeat, and they needed to hear his heartbeat. And they come in, they put an IV, and it was in this hand, because this hand, they did fluids and busted through my vein, and then so they did it on my wrist, and it's still bruised, as you can tell, busted my vein, and I had a fluid bubble, but, so I'm still bruised right there. So they did the IV for my delivery or whatever, I don't know what it was for. On this hand, they didn't bust my vein. Thank God. And I just remember a bunch of nurses coming in, this one guy coming in, guy doctor, and getting this table and putting buckets on it, and just utensils or whatever, tools for doctors. I don't know, I was screaming in pain, and my mom tells me to hold her hand. I hold her hand, I squeeze it, and I scratch the crap out of it. So I hold Blade's hand. I don't scratch him. I don't know why, but maybe I just love him more. And so Blade's trying to help me. I'm telling him to shut up because I don't want to breathe. Even the nurse is telling me I need to breathe, otherwise I'll pass out. So I breathed, even though it hurt. And then the girl came in to do lab work to my blood. I'm having a contraction, and she's trying to put the needle in me, and I'm like telling her to stop. So she stops, waits for the contraction, does my blood. I'm perfectly fine between contractions. I mean, I'm still hurting, but I'm fine. And then contractions hit, end of the world. And so the lab work people leave, and it gets intense from there. I'm screaming, it's time, I'm pushing, like I'm literally pushing, and the nurse never even told me to. Last time I was checked, I was 6, and I was like, I'm pushing, and the nurse was like, okay, let me check you, and so she checks me, and she's like, yep, it's time. I was like, I can't get the epidural. She's like, nope, you can't, there's no more time. I look at my mom and Blade, and I'm like, I have to do this all natural. And so I'm freaking out because obviously my plan was to get the epidural and not have to feel so much pain. Nope. Even though for a while he was not ready. But he was ready. and it's 12 o'clock when I said it's time for me to push. And so the nurse, my doctor never showed up. I never seen my doctor once my whole hospital visit, which I think is not very professional. Like, you're obviously supposed to check on me. If you know I'm admitted into the hospital, you should at least be there to deliver my baby like you're supposed to. But nope, she wasn't even around. So the nurse delivers Caleb, but 12 o'clock hits. I am pushing, and they keep saying, well, only push with contractions. I felt the need to push constantly. I obviously didn't breathe as much as I thought I was. I thought I was pushing for like an hour. I was pushing for 17 minutes. Started at 12. He came out at 12:17. Felt like an hour or longer to me. Felt like a breeze to them. And so I had him. Felt it all. Like, when he was crowning, it was burning. It hurt. And I was holding onto the side rails and just, like, squeezing. My eyes were shut. And for a minute straight while I was pushing, I looked straight at Blade and just stared at him while pushing. Like, it calmed me down. I don't know. I just instantly stopped squeezing my eyes shut and screaming, and I just went silent and looked at Blade. And I don't know, I guess that's really sweet. He calmed me down. So he was born, and they immediately placed him on my chest. And I started crying and it didn't seem real. It didn't seem like he was my baby. He just rolled his eyes at me. But it really didn't seem real. Like, I have a son now. I have responsibilities. I'm stuck with him. I love him, but I don't remember Blade's first reaction, but he did cut his cord, and I still had my mom in the room, so it was my mom and Blade still. And so Blade and me are just staring at him, and my mom's trying to take pictures of us. And they keep him on me for about an hour while they deliver my placenta and stitch me up. Yes, I had stitches. I had a 2nd-degree tear. And pajama pants are my best friend. I'm actually wearing them right now. Well, an hour passes, and then they weigh him, and he weighs 7 pounds, 2 ounces. And then Blade does skin to skin after I just did skin to skin. And Blade's laying there with him. I don't remember how long he was doing it for. I was just worn out and relieved that it's all over with. And while Blade was doing skin to skin, the nurse took me into the bathroom, and she shows me like how I'm properly supposed to take care of myself. I don't know how to word that, but I'm not really going to go into detail. But you get a spray bottle, and then a pad, obviously, because you bleed a lot, and she gives me this cooling spray and some Tux pads. If you've had a baby, you probably know what I'm talking about. I learn all that, she helps me, and then I lay back in the bed. And my hospital was weird. Like, you have your labor in the same room as you deliver and as you recover, which isn't really sanitary, but that's how my hospital did it. And Blade's still doing skin to skin. I'm over here crying watching them because obviously we have a son. I don't know, it just broke my heart. And then my mom held him for the first time, and Blade's dad came in like a couple hours later and seen him. I'm still worn out. Like, I was pale. I looked like a ghost. I had eye bag. Well, that night he slept for like 5 hours straight. So me and Blade were amazed And we're like, this is gonna be a breeze. He's gonna sleep all the time, every night. No, he will not. He was just worn out. And well, obviously we kept having visitors the next day and the day after and all that, and we ended up having to stay. We got admitted the 27th, had him the 28th, and then got discharged on the 30th, the day I was supposed to get induced. And I'm doing perfectly fine. I don't hurt. He's doing good. I was breastfeeding him, but it was hurting his stomach, and so now he does formula, which is expensive. But it helps his little belly. So I don't want to make him sick over breast milk, so obviously you gotta do what you gotta do. And usually he does really well at night. He'll wake up every like 2 to 3 hours to eat, which is normal for a newborn. But his stomach was obviously upset from the breast milk, so he's having a bellyache. And so he'll wake up like every hour to hour and a half. And I'm trying to help him. I give him like some gas drops like the pediatrician told me to. And he sleeps in a little bassinet right beside my bed. I don't co-sleep with him. And I thought he would use the crib, but the crib he hates, probably because of how big of a space it is from going inside the womb. It's just a big open world. It probably scares him, which I understand. But he's a really happy baby. He's not colic. He only cries when he's hungry. I hope you guys enjoyed, and there will be more videos with Kaleb coming up. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.